Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner.
Okay, Laura Howarth, we are here to speak about shopping, shoes. No. We'll talk about shoes if you want, but we're going to talk. What I'd like to start with, Laura, is I'd like to not talk about the present. I'd like to not talk about the future. I want to go back a little bit to give people a little refresher. I want to go back, if you don't mind, to the 22nd of August 2014. Your last bout against Landsberg.
Remember, but yeah.
I know. I'm going to go back a little while, but the reason why I want to go back is to bring us up to date to now, if that makes sense. So,
yeah.
In that bout, you ended up having it was like a retirement at the end of the round. Explain then from then. Explain what happened and what's been going on since then, really, to give us all a bit of an update.
Well, obviously I flew out to Jordan to fight on Cage Warriors, and we stayed in a really nice hotel, but that really nice hotel gave me food poisoning. And I didn't want to pull out of the fight, so I didn't tell anyone, and just got on with what I was doing, made weight, didn't put any weight back on afterwards, because I was shitting through the eye of a needle, but anyway, fought, and once I got in there, I realised I'd made a mistake. I had no energy, I had nothing to give back. She just felt like she was 10 times stronger than me, where I just felt so weak, where I hadn't rehydrated properly, eaten properly, and I decided it was safer for me not to continue, rather than the possibility of me getting really hurt and being out of action for a while. So yeah, that was that. And then Cage Warriors shut their doors, and I was left without a promotion to fight on. My coaches tried to get me fights in the UK, and no one would fight me. Tried to get K1 fights, no one would fight me. And then Invicta picked me up in April of last year, and I've just been sitting on their roster waiting since.
Now, like you say, Cage Warriors shut the door, and as soon as that happened, that's the thing, you weren't the only one who found it really difficult to get fights. Suddenly, anyone with the name of Cage Warriors on their kind of resume, it did put a lot of people off when it came to trying to match people up for fights. And I found it such a shame. I remember, Alex Enland, I was speaking to him for ages. It took him nearly 10, 11 months to get a fight.
Yeah.
It's insane, really, and even your boy Brett Casewell, it wasn't easy for him to get. Well, to be fair, he's a bit of a nightmare to fight, so I can understand why.
Nightmare to train with.
Yeah. So I can see why it was difficult. I can understand why, and it's not fair, I think, for yourselves, because you fought on Cage Warriors, that you suddenly get this kind of rep that people want to avoid you. I find that then really frustrating, because I think they're just people who were avoiding you are just padding their record. Then they're people who are just, they're playing it safe. They're scared. I'm like, why would you not want to test yourself? Why would you not want to see where you're at?
But that's the same for females in general. I have a couple of teammates that I train with, and they can't get fights. People will dodge them. They don't want to fight them, so I think that's just true for all females, really.
Well, it doesn't help with the gym that you're at. Gym 01, I mean that in a positive way. I'm not saying that in a negative way. I mean it's got a very good reputation in the UK. It's a very well renowned gym. You've got some very talented people there. Brian Adams is the head coach there. He's done fantastic things. Phil Harris, all that. There's a handful of names there that you can spit out where I could possibly see why people are a bit daunted by it, but I think at the same time, why would you not want to go against them and test yourself? Because exactly. And especially because it's early in the career. It's early in your career as well. It's not like you've got 50 fights under your belt, so to speak. It's one of them things where if you get a loss, scratch it. You can still move on with it. Now, the Invicta thing is, like you say, being sat on their roster. Have they said why you've been sat on their roster?
No, they haven't said anything really. But it will be a year in April that I've been on their roster for now, and I think it's about time I got my shot. and really sort of showed them what I could do. Like, I appreciate I'm coming off a loss, and so they may not pay as much attention to me as somebody who's doing well, coming off wins and things like that. But you know, they need to put me on there. I'm a different person to the person I was 18 months ago. They have no idea. Well, absolutely no idea what that hit them. So.
Well, that's the thing I was about to say. You've had this time off, and that all you can do is train. All you can do is sharpen up your skill set. You know, that's all you can do. And I imagine you've been adding quite a lot of different things to your game. Have you done anything specific? Have you went anywhere particular to do stuff? Have you looked at yourself and maybe go on?
Last year I went to Michigan twice. So I first of all did this women's fight camp in Michigan under James David Gray at SFS. I spent 2 weeks there training with plenty of females, and Tonya Revenger came down. And then from there I headed to Vegas, and I did a week's training with Roxanne Modafari over at Syndicate, and came home, and then I went back out October back to Michigan, because I really like the gym there, I really like the vibe there, and I really like the coaching there. So I spent 3 weeks training with Amanda Bobby Cooper under James Gray again, and Tonya came down for a week as well, and I just got a lot of training in. And when I've been back home, I've just been full-time training still, so, you know, I'm ready.
I was going to say, Roxanne is an absolute sweetheart, isn't she? Let's be honest. Love that girl a bit. Right. Absolute darling.
She came and picked us up from the hotel every day and took us to the gym.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't have... We got a taxi, but she was just like, no, save your money, I'll pick you up, and, you know, it was great of her.
She is impossible. She's impossible to dislike. Impossible. I defy anyone to dislike that girl. Absolute sweetheart she is. So you spat her name out there, Evangel. There, she's not too bad. She's doing all right for herself. When you were training with her, obviously you then got a feel of where you were at. I imagine yourself. You got to get an idea of where you fitted in that kind of division. How was it going? How was it training with her? And obviously you would, bounce ideas off.
I kicked her ass around the gym. Kicked her ass around the gym. No, I'm joking. She beat the shit out of me, if I'm honest. I saw some very good things in my game that I did well against her with, and I definitely saw some holes where I need to improve. I think people forget that I am quite early in my career sometimes, because I have done quite a lot, but I'm not ready for that title shot yet. I'm not ready for it. I'm ready to test myself on girls on the roster and work my way up to that point, however long it takes. But it's probably inevitable that we'll face each other at some point. But she's a great girl. She's really helped me. I plan on going out to Texas next year and training with her. And it's all just going to be. Oh, this year, sorry. Yeah, we're in January.
Yeah, we're in January. Yeah, don't worry. I do it.
Making the most of it, really. So it's good.
No, it sounds awesome. Because when you haven't got a fight booked, I found myself, when I didn't have a fight booked, it was really hard to get that kind of mentality in training. There's a different focus from when you've got a bout to book to when you haven't got a bout booked. And when you haven't got a bout booked for a while, it's really, I found it a bit, sometimes maybe I would have I had a couple of bouts fall through. I remember it was about 11 months. It's not been as long as yours, but I think it was 11 months between the bouts, and I found it just really frustrating. I think because I got that amped up that something got booked and then it fell through. But
I don't see it like that as much. When I lost that fight, I was sad for a long time, and I didn't train properly. That was my first ever loss on my record in any area of martial arts, and it literally broke my heart. I was the saddest person in the world. Everyone hated me being in the gym because I was just sad all the time. And then something just clicked one day, and I picked myself up and I got back in the gym, and I've trained my arse off ever since. I'm so hungry for it now, and I'm like, well, whenever I hear that there's a next Invicta card, I'm training as if I'm on that card and getting my weight down. And I've been close to my fight weight so many times last year, and I'm not far off it now. So I'm just so hungry for it. I'm just training all the time.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably useful to stay close to, just in case them, even if there was for this card, the FC 15, isn't it? Yeah, Invicta FC 15. If there was an injury on that card, it would have been useful to stay ready, just in case. You would have to never know. Now they did get the passed in the commission, the Nevada Athletic State Commission recently for their March card to go ahead. And that's to go booked. So I imagine you're pressing for this one to get onto the March card. I've noticed on social media too. Have you contacted them to speak to them about this? Like personally, have you contacted Shannon and stuff like that?
No, I've left that down to my manager Jay.
Yeah.
But I'm active on social media. I've called out a couple of girls. And getting people to retweet, and, and all that, and I think it's having an impact. So let's hope. But this March show is very important to me if I get on it. So
yeah, I would like at some point, maybe I don't know if it's going to happen this year. It would be nice for Invicta to come to the UK and have not UK based but European based female fighters majority on that card, because there's enough talent out there.
Yeah, there is, but I'm the only UK female signed to Invicta, so I think they'd be better off doing it in Europe rather than sort of UK.
Oh, I'm just being selfish for me, Laura. All right, it's all about me. Except I'm not forking out to go to Europe, darling. All right. All right. So let's say England. All right. Come on, let's do an agreement. I don't mind going to England. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, in fact, they can come over to here, to the Isle of Man. They can host it on the Isle of Man. It's like a neutral ground, and it means I don't have to. I can just walk. I can walk down the street then, and I'm happy. Even better. I don't mind that. Yeah, so I'll do some pad work with Cyborg. It's fine. I'll probably lose my arms in the process, but it's all good. It's all good. Women's MMA. Let's have a little ditty about women's MMA. Do you follow then literally every woman in your weight class? Do you like to keep an eye out on what people are doing in your weight class? And no.
No. Jake said to me, who do you think you'd like to fight? I went, well, who's on their roster?
It's a good
I literally don't care.
No.
I literally do not care. You can put me in front of anyone on the Invicta 135 roster. I've had a little scroll through and a little peek and things like that, but I haven't really looked anyone up. There's no point in looking them up unless you're matched against them. And I don't get a choice on who I'm against. That's Invicta's job.
Yeah.
So if they put me against someone, then I'll start looking into them and looking it up. But at the end of the day, it's not my choice anymore. I can't pick and choose any fights. Invicta's. It's up to them. They can just put me against whoever, and then I'll look them up and do what I need to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it helps having the likes of with Brian Adams there and as your coaching staff to kind of nurture that knowledge, really, because he will literally, I'd imagine, would break down your opponents and dissect them and give you a great analysis of them. He does seem like he's got a really great head on his shoulders.
Yeah, he has. He's very good at watching fights and seeing people's weaker areas and things like that. So that's a good thing to have in the gym.
Does your gym, say for example you got an opponent booked, does your other teammates imitate what their kind of let's say habits are?
Yes, I mean if my first pro fight against Emma Delaney, she was a judo girl that was obviously going to try and armbar me, and so I had Brett Caswell. I worked with him a lot, and he tried to judo throw me a lot, and he armbarred me a lot, and and then you can just see in that fight that she managed to throw me like once, and it wasn't even a very good one. And when she armbarred me, I just defended it like it was nothing. So it definitely works, and it's definitely a good way of training.
Yeah, because some gyms do and some gyms don't. I'm just curious to see if your gym does. I've never had it done where I've trained before, you see. So I always like to ask and find out, because I think I'd like to try it one day just to get an idea. Some fighters' styles are unique to themselves, but it's always worth asking. How's the vibe down at Gym 01? Because there's, I've got to say there's a momentum building there, and down south, in the south of England area, there is quite a few names to throw about there where there's potential big stardom, so to speak, in the UFC for a couple of names. So how's everything for you down there?
Training is hard work. It's really hard work. We have a lot of fun, but it's hard work because even our amateurs that are coming through are training with the pros all the time. So, I believe we have the top amateurs in the country at our gym because of, when you've got amateurs escaping leg locks like they're nothing, you can't really, put down an amateur that can do that. And, they're great to train with. And, I think if anyone walked into our gym and listened to our sense of humour, they'd probably be a bit worried and walk out again. But it's a very good gym. We have a lot of fun, and training is just a lot of fun, but very, very hard.
Yeah, the amateur scene. It's you know what? It's quite warming. I know it sounds a bit weird. It's quite warming to see the amateur scene just evolve the way it has over the past. It's crazy. Even in the past, say 3 years. 3 years ago, the amateur scene was nothing like it was now.
Yeah, on the last Shock and Awe show, we had 2 amateurs win by toe hold.
Oh, love it.
That in itself just shows the level of our amateurs.
I remember in my second amateur bout, and this is going back a bit now. We're not. How? I thought 5. Let's think, about 4, maybe 4 years ago. I think it was. I remember in my second amateur bout, and I got a toe hold on a guy, and I had it on, locked in, and the referee said it was a twist. He said it's like weren't allowed to do toe holds because it's like a manipulation of the joint of the ankle. I was absolutely fuming. It was last 10 seconds, had it locked on, had it cinched, and I tried to switch to a knee bar just before it ended. I was good. Didn't get that. Didn't class that. But the way the sport's changed though now, the refereeing was different then. The rules, like each amateur show you went to had a different rule set. It was it blew my head. I couldn't get my head around how many different rule sets and different levels. Oh, it was so weird. But what's happening now? It's really beautiful to see the IMMAF setting up like kind of a foundation and a kind of a standard level for all amateur base, which it really is. I think this year alone we'll start to see that kind of grassroots of amateurs coming through to the pro ranks and starting to see that level. They won't be rusty pros. They'll coming into their first bout. They'll be pretty well rounded when they first start their pro bout.
Yeah, definitely.
It's exciting times. With yourself, I wondered if Invicta would have let you go away for one fight in the UK. Is that something that might be on offer still, if it were to come about?
Well, I think personally, I don't want to until I've had my first fight in Invicta.
Yeah.
Because that's the main focus right now. And if I was to go and have a fight outside of Invicta, if I got injured in it and then they wanted me to fight and I couldn't, or whatever, it wouldn't happen. But if I lost, then Invicta could be like, well, you've had 2 losses in a row now, we don't want you anymore. So I think this debut on Invicta is very important, and that's my only focus right now. I've been talking with my coaches about some K1 fights, because I haven't fought K1 for about 4 years, and I'm like ranked number 2, I think, in the UK or something like that, and I think it would be good just to get some K1 fights in to keep me active, but we'll see what happens.
It would be a good little thing to do, yeah, exactly. It's nothing related to your MMA thing, so yeah, exactly. I think it would be a good thing to do. I know Brett Johns had a K1 bout in December. And it's, again, like you say, it's keep you active, especially like maybe grappling tournaments and stuff like that. It just helps keep the mind sharp in that competitive state, that competitive mode.
Yeah.
It is
definitely.
huge. It is. Now, with Invicta, it is great to get that debut under your belt, like I say, because it's the exposure you get with it being on Fight Pass. It's you know, because I've got Fight Pass. I love Fight Pass, but for people at home who have got it, there's a chance for you to maybe get yourself out there. That marketability goes up another level as soon as you get on that.
Exactly. I mean, once you're signed to a big promotion, you're no longer sort of a person, you're a product. And I think to get the exposure on Fight Pass and build your brand, build your product. I think it makes a huge difference.
Is that what you're going to look to do then this year? Is obviously you're going to press to get onto this March card, and I would love to. I'd love for it to happen to you, Laura. Honestly, I'd love to see you get on this March card they've got happening. And then you're going to. Is this something that you're going to look to maybe try and get yourself as a brand, trying to label yourself, trying to get yourself on that social media aspect, so people start to not just interact with you, but just so people know who Laura Howarth is, and they can maybe identify you in that way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I was fighting for Cage Warriors, I was really building my profile, and then obviously I haven't fought for nearly 18 months, and I think it just sort of, then everything, all the work you've done is kind of gone again. I feel like I'm starting again this year, really, so definitely going to be building myself up again. I mean, I've got a great manager behind me now in Jay, Fresh Start Entertainment, and I think they're just going to make a massive difference to my career, really.
Well, that's the thing that they do help. I know I spoke to a couple of fighters with agents, and there's a couple of agents that I've even spoke to. They've got like a PR side of things where they speak to their fighters and they address on how to put yourself out there publicly with that media side of things, and even they help with it as well. They will do bits to help you out, to give yourself a bit of a label, and it is a huge thing because, like I say this a lot of fighters, social media is massive for yourself to build yourself, because as much as you fight, because let's say you have 3 fights this year, Laura, and you finish all the fights in the first round and you only accumulate maybe 9 minutes of fight time, well, that's 9 minutes. That's not a lot of time this year if you look at the big scale. So social media, though, is a daily thing. It's a huge part to keep up with and keep on top of.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely the main foundation at the moment for promoting yourself through MMA and things like that.
It is, and do you know what? I'm crap sometimes on my own personal one. I'm usually on the podcast, bloody Twitter, yapping away, and just basically, I'm just being a sarcastic git to everyone, just ripping a hole into people. But you know, I can't help it.
Twitter a lot more recently, mainly because Tonya's been talking shit, so I've just been talking shit back, but...
Why not?
Why not?
Hey, she gets a massive follower as well, you see, so do you know what? It helps build up, it helps build. We talk quite a bit, and she does really help me out, so, she's a great girl, even though we talk shit all the time. She is pretty cool. Yeah, and you know what? It's only words. It's just a bit of banter, isn't it? As the people say, it's a bit of a, bit of a joke.
It was so funny when she called me out on Twitter. People started messaging me and her like, "I thought you and Tonya were friends. What happened? Have you fallen out?" We were just dying. It was so funny.
Oh, do you know what? That's the thing. I could imagine calling Roxanne calling you out. You'd be like, "Really, people? Do you think Roxanne's like that? Come on!" But do you know what? That's what I love. I love about MMA media. That's what cracks me up. It's sometimes tweets are taken seriously and all this stuff, and then they write an article about it, and you just sit there and you think, unbelievable. I can't believe. One of the good things was, remember, I don't know if you know about it, but Frankie Edgar and Rafael dos Anjos, they're all managed by this company whose husband is Ali Abzul, or fuck knows what his surname is. He's the guy he was in relation with World Series of Fighting, had the big shenanigans going on.
Yeah.
He looks after their Twitter account, and he basically was taking over he's partly taken over Frankie's Twitter account, and basically messaging Conor McGregor, calling him out, calling him X, Y, and Z. And people were writing and saying, "Oh, Frankie Edgar's calling out Conor," but what happened was, Ali posted, he basically switched over back to his personal account, tweeted something about Conor on his own personal one, thinking it must have been Frankie's, not realising, posted it, someone saw it, screenshotted it, and said, "Oh, are you want to fight Conor as well?" He deletes it, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, clearly it's not Frankie, because you know what, everyone knows what Frankie's like. He's not the kind of guy who shit talks people. And all of a sudden, there's articles going out about this. Frankie Edgar's calling him out, and you're like, no, he isn't. It's his agent. But that's the beautiful thing about MMA media. They hook, line, and sinker and believe stuff, and also they just want clicks. That's the other thing.
Yeah, they take everything so seriously.
I know.
And I'm so laid back, and I don't really care, and I think everything's rather funny. So when people take stuff seriously, it really does make me laugh.
Yeah, that's why I'm probably that's why we're very sarcastic on our tweets and our podcast ourselves. We just can't do serious. Even if there's a funeral, I'll probably be the first one to make a joke about it. I just can't help it. It's just in my DNA. I don't know. I gotta have a giggle. But Laura, I'm gonna ask you now. What's your social media for people to jump onto so they can, give you a follow and even help retweet and push for you to get on this March card?
Yeah, so my Twitter and Instagram are Laura Howarth MMA, at Laura Howarth MMA, and I've got a Facebook page which is Laura Howarth MMA, so it's all pretty simple to remember.
It must took you a while to sit there and figure them ones.
I know, it's so difficult.
That is difficult. I had to write that down there just in case I forgot it. That was hard work. Do you know what? It's like our podcast name, John and Mike's MMA Corner. It took us a really long time to think of that up. We had hours of brainstorming. You're
stuck with it forever, so
you are stuck with it forever. That's why I like when some guys get their name and they put UFC in their name and you think, yeah, you probably don't want to do that. You probably want to keep it a bit simple. What about let's see, have you got any sponsors out there helping you out?
Yeah, so first of all, I'll say to my manager, Jay General from Fresh Start Entertainment. He's been great since we started in the new year, really helping to promote me and things like that. So that's great. I've got to thank Troy Bradley at 3D FC. He's keeps me in good condition, fixes me up. He's a osteopath and movement specialist. He's very good. Alex Backhouse, strength and conditioning. He's a great guy. He trains me and makes me as strong as I can be, and is always helping out, getting me in a great condition to fight. And then we've got Physiques Nutrition, which is Darren Dean. He is great. He does all my diet plans for me, sends them over, so I can get down to weight nice and easy without a massive water cut, which is really good. Fighter Alias, their clothing sponsor, they do some great t-shirts and stuff and looking after me well, so they're great. And then obviously finally to my gym, Gym01, Brian Adams and Gareth Johnson, absolutely fantastic coaches. I've been with them 2 years now and they've basically just turned me into a ninja, so I've got to thank them as well. And
that soft arse Brett as well, with his rubbish judo.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah, he knows. Hey, look, I'm even doing his food prep for him today, so
Oh, look at you soft arse, bless you.
Right, he needs some help.
Fair enough. Laura, look, honestly, March, I hope. Do you know what? We'll even help out and throw some tweets out there and hound Invicta as well to get you on that March card.
I called out Kelly McGill, so let's get on that retweet.
Okay, Kelly McGill. I'll jump onto that one then. I'll even spit it out there as well. Let's get that happening because it's a waste having you on a shelf. UK talent out there. It's a waste having you there, and I think we need to get you back in the cage. And look, have an awesome, hopefully training camp, which will be starting soon because Invicta will start send you a contract. And let's look forward to March. Fingers crossed, eh?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you very much for speaking with us, Laura.
Thank you for doing an interview.